Mommy, please don't open it, Emma whispered, tugging at my sleeve as I crept up the attic stairs. Grandma says bad things happen when people look inside. I glanced down at my daughter, her wide blue eyes filled with fear. Her concern tugged at my heart, but my curiosity was stronger. That ornate wooden box had haunted the corner of my mother-in-law's attic for 15 years, untouched, unexplained. Tonight, I finally learned its secrets. I'm Sarah Mitchell. I've been married to David for 10 years. His mother, Margaret, moved in with us last month after a storm damaged her house. Along with her came a collection of dusty heirlooms and the box. I'd seen it once before, back when David and I had just started dating. It was sitting on a table in Margaret's old study. I barely reached for it before she snapped, eyes sharp and voice colder than I'd ever heard it. Some things are not meant to be opened. She hadn't needed to say it twice. But now, with Margaret away visiting her sister, the attic was mine to explore. Still, Emma's reaction caught me off guard. I paused. Honey, when did Grandma talk to you about the box? Emma's face went pale. She didn't. I heard her talking to it last night. She said more names would be added soon. Goosebumps prickled my skin. The attic was warm, stifling, but a chill crept through me all the same. Talking to the box, that wasn't the Margaret I knew, composed, strict, always in control. It's okay, sweetie, I said, trying to sound calm. It's probably just filled with old letters or jewelry. Why don't you go play in your room while I take a quick look? Emma shook her head with sudden intensity. No, I'm staying. Someone has to protect you from it. Her words might have made me smile on any other night, but not now. Not with the fear in her voice so real, so raw. The attic was a maze of Margaret's belongings, but the box stood alone on a table by the window, untouched by time. Moonlight slanted through the dusty glass, dancing across the carved symbols that adorned it. As I stepped closer, a low hum brushed the edge of hearing. Did you hear that? Emma whispered, clutching my hand. I nodded. The hum deepened the nearer we got. The box's symbols shimmered faintly, as if responding to the light or to us. Then I noticed something strange. Everything in the attic was blanketed in dust. Everything except the box. It gleamed, immaculate, like someone had been polishing it all these years. I reached out, but Emma's grip tightened. Mommy, please. Grandma said it's not time. You're not ready. My hand froze mid-air. Emma, when exactly did Grandma say that? In my dreams, she said softly. She comes to my room and talks about it. She says the box is from our bloodline. Only certain people can open it. I wanted to dismiss it, chalk it up to a child's vivid imagination, but deep down, I couldn't. Margaret had always been fixated on family rituals, on who belonged and who didn't, and she'd always kept me just outside the inner circle, like I hadn't earned my place yet. I glanced at my phone. 11:55 p.m. I just want a quick look, I murmured, more to myself than Emma. Then we'll go downstairs and have some hot chocolate. As my fingers brushed the lid, the hum intensified. The air grew heavy, thick with a strange scent, roses laced with rot. The carvings began to glow faintly, pulsing like a heartbeat. Emma pressed close to my side. Listen, Mommy, she whispered. The names, can you hear them? I held my breath. Then, through the hum, I heard them, soft voices, dozens of them, whispering women's names. Some I recognized. Most I didn't. They overlapped in a haunting, endless chant. With trembling hands, I lifted the lid. Inside was a stack of faded photographs. The top one showed a young woman from the 1950s, smiling at the camera. She looked almost exactly like me, even down to the mole near her left eye. The caption read, Elizabeth Mitchell, chosen 1956. Beneath it, another. Mary Mitchell, chosen 1925. Photo after photo. Different decades, same face, my face, or faces that might as well have been mine. Then I reached the final photo. It was me. Not a doppelganger from the past. Me in my own clothes, my own hair. Taken just last week. I had no memory of it being taken. The caption chilled me to the core. Sarah Mitchell, chosen 2025. Emma's voice came as if from underwater. I told you, Mommy, it wasn't time. Now Grandma knows you looked. My phone buzzed. Margaret's name lit up the screen. I unlocked it with numb fingers and read. I felt it open. You shouldn't have done that, Sarah. Now we'll have to move everything ahead of schedule. I'm coming home early. Keep Emma close, she's next in line after you. The attic seemed to shrink around me. The humming surged, deafening now, and in the gleaming surface of the box, my reflection twisted, aging before my eyes, then snapping back in an instant. I slammed the lid shut. What had I just awakened? And what exactly was Margaret planning for me? And for Emma? Morning light poured into the kitchen, warm and golden, yet it did nothing to shake the chill that clung to me from the night before. Emma sat at the table, idly stirring her cereal, not eating. I hovered by the counter, pretending to drink coffee, pretending last night hadn't happened. But Margaret's message still sat on my phone like a splinter under skin, unignorable. And she was coming home early. Her latest text said she'd arrive today. Time was running out. Emma, sweetheart, I said, sitting beside her, voice low. I need you to tell me everything. What has Grandma said to you? About the box, about the dreams. Anything you remember. She didn't look at me right away. Her spoon clinked once against the bowl. Then, slowly, she lifted her gaze, her small face solemn. She said the box has been in the family forever. Every generation it picks a woman to keep the family strong. A pause. But she said you're not like the others. You're fighting it. Fighting what? I asked. Before she could answer, my phone buzzed again. I didn't want to look, but I did. Margaret, don't let her tell you too much. Some knowledge isn't meant for the unwilling. My stomach turned. I stared at the message, unblinking. How did she know? I powered off the phone with shaking hands. Across from me, Emma had gone pale. Her fingers trembled on the table. She's watching, she whispered. She's always watching. I stood abruptly, grabbed my laptop. If Margaret wouldn't talk, I'd find answers myself. I dove into old genealogical records, clicking through census data, obituaries, anything linked to the Mitchell family line. A pattern emerged, too consistent to be coincidence. Every generation, a woman was chosen. Then, the current matriarch would vanish. Sudden illnesses, unexplained accidents. One obituary noted disappearance under tragic circumstances. No follow-ups, no police records. Margaret's own mother had vanished 30 years ago, shortly after Margaret's wedding. Supposedly a car crash, but there was no death certificate, no accident report, just silence. The box keeps them, Emma said behind me. I jumped. I hadn't heard her approach. She stood close, eyes fixed on the screen. All the chosen ones, she said. Grandma says they're not really gone. They're just waiting. A knock at the door froze us both. Through the kitchen window, I saw her car. Margaret was home. Hours earlier than she'd said. Quick, I whispered. Upstairs. Pack your bag. Like we practiced. Emma darted up the stairs without a sound. We'd run emergency drills before. Fires, blackouts, break-ins. But this was different. We were running from blood. A key turned in the lock. The door opened. Margaret stepped inside. She looked as polished as ever, immaculate curls, a floral dress pressed to perfection, pearl necklace resting lightly at her throat. But her eyes were wrong. Darker, deeper, like they'd seen too many lifetimes. Oh, Sarah, she said, shutting the door behind her. You couldn't leave it alone, could you? Always so curious, so determined to disrupt the natural order. What order is that? I asked, forcing calm. The one where women vanish into a box. Her smile was slight, cold. They don't vanish. They transcend. The box isn't a prison. It's a vessel. A passage. Every chosen woman carries the family's strength forward. It's how we survive. How we thrive. And me? I asked. What was I supposed to do, submit? You were meant to understand, to obey. Her tone was soft, but sharp as glass. That's the one thing the chosen must offer freely. Obedience. And you never quite fit, did you? I didn't answer. Her eyes flipped upward toward the sound of muffled footsteps above us. Emma knows. We've been preparing her. She accepts what you reject. The box already feels her. My stomach twisted. You're not touching my daughter. Margaret's smile widened. I don't have to. The moment you opened the box, the choice was made. You've resisted, so the power will pass to her. She is next. From upstairs, I heard the faint sound of the back door opening. Quiet, just as we'd rehearsed. Margaret's head turned sharply toward it. You're trying to take her away. Her voice lost its composure. just for a second. You can't escape the bond. It's in your blood, Sarah. You or Emma, one of you must take my place. I stepped between her and the staircase. What happened to the others? The women in the photos. They're here, she said, touching her pearls. Their power, their essence, it flows through us. The box holds their forms, yes. But their strength is alive in every generation. That's our legacy. That's what you were chosen for. I felt it then, a low thrum in my chest, deep in my bones, like a distant heartbeat echoing through the floorboards. The same pull I felt when I touched the box. But now it didn't lure me, it warned me. The door clicked shut behind the house. Emma was gone. Safe. Margaret's eyes narrowed. You think you can run? You think this ends with you walking away? She took a step forward. The box has chosen. Whether you accept it or not, it's already begun. I stood my ground. Then let it begin, I said. But you won't have her. Not without a fight. Neither of us will be your replacement, I said, voice steady as I backed toward the door. This ends now. Margaret laughed, a sound that rang through the house like a struck bell, strange and dissonant. The windows shivered in their frames. You still don't understand, she said, her voice layered, ancient. The box isn't just an object. It's our inheritance. For generations, it has protected the Mitchell line and powered it. Without it, we are nothing. But as she spoke, something sparked in my memory. What I glimpsed inside the box the night before. A weathered leather journal buried beneath the photographs. Just one page had caught my eye. But it had been enough. It mentioned a ritual. A way to end it. Emma must have seen it too. She'd left a sign. Her favorite stuffed rabbit placed by the back door, its worn paw pointed not outward, but toward the attic stairs. The box may have chosen, I said, heart pounding. But you've forgotten something, Margaret. I chose Emma first. I'm her mother. And I'll protect her, no matter the cost. I turned and ran. Behind me, I heard a gasp. Sharp, surprised, and then Margaret's footsteps chasing mine. But I had speed, adrenaline, and desperation on my side. I reached the attic first and slammed the door shut, turning the old key in the lock with shaking hands. The box waited in the center of the room, just as we'd left it, its hum rising, almost eager. But now I understood. It didn't only hold power. It held prisoners. Emma's words echoed. The box keeps them. If it could keep them, maybe it could release them too. Margaret's fist struck the door. Sarah, don't be foolish. You don't know what you're tampering with. But I did. I dropped to my knees and threw open the box. There it was, the journal. I flipped through the fragile pages until I found it, the ritual. Simple. Specific. It had to be spoken by someone chosen by the box, but who rejected its power. And it had to be done while the previous holder tried to pass their legacy on. Perfect timing. I began to read, my voice faltering at first, then gaining strength. The box vibrated, the hum intensifying. The photographs began to glow, edges curling with golden light. Voices rose, a chorus of forgotten women, calling out from the dark. The attic door burst open. Margaret stood there, silhouetted in the doorway, face twisted with rage, and something else. Fear. Stop, she screamed, but her voice fractured, many voices overlapping, spilling from her throat like echoes in a canyon. The pearls at her neck shimmered, each one holding a flickering flame. No, I said steady now. You've taken enough. It's time to let them go. The box's lid flew open, light pouring out in fierce, blinding beams. The photographs lifted, one by one, hovering midair. And then, they changed. The women were no longer trapped in stillness. They moved, spoke, breathed. Their voices twined together, a song of release, of gratitude. Margaret staggered. Her necklace tightened, the pearls glowing brighter, strangling her with the very power she'd hoarded. You can't, she gasped. But now, only her voice remained. The others were leaving her. Yes, I can, I said, and I spoke the final lines. By the power given and the power denied, by the choice made and choice defied, I break this circle, I set them free. The pearls exploded in bursts of light, each one releasing a figure. Elizabeth, Mary, Eleanor, names I only now understood. One by one, the women filled the attic, solid and luminous, their expressions peaceful. Margaret collapsed to her knees, no longer a vessel, no longer ageless, just a woman. Old, fragile, human. The box stilled. Its hum faded to silence. I looked inside. The photographs were only photographs now, paper and ink, not prisons. Behind me, I heard the soft creak of footsteps. Emma stood on the stairs, her eyes wide but calm. "They're free," she said quietly. "I can't hear them anymore." "Not in my dreams." "You knew," I whispered. "You knew how to end it." She nodded. "They told me. They were waiting for someone strong enough to break the cycle. They picked you because they knew you'd choose love over power." Margaret looked up at us, tear-streaked and dazed. "What happens now?" she asked, voice breaking. "Without the box." "Now we learn to live without it," I said, offering her my hand. "No more legacies, no more chosen ones. Just a family, flawed, real, and free." Emma took my hand, then extended hers to Margaret. There was a long pause, and then Margaret reached out. Together, the three of us carried the box downstairs and into the backyard. Its carvings were dull now, just meaningless patterns in wood. Emma brought matches, and to our surprise, Margaret struck the first one. We watched it burn, centuries of expectation, sacrifice, power reduced to ash. That night, as I tucked Emma into bed, she smiled at me, eyes heavy with sleep. "I'm glad you opened the box," she murmured. "Even after you told me not to." "Especially because I told you not to," she said, yawning. "Sometimes, breaking the rules is how you make things right." I kissed her forehead, thinking of Margaret's words about obedience. She had been right about that. I wasn't obedient, but it was that very defiance that saved us. As I turned off the light, I caught a flicker at the window, just a glint, like the last echo of magic drifting away. A quiet thank you, perhaps, from the women who could finally rest. The Mitchell legacy was no longer written in blood and silence. Now it would be written by choice, by strength, by love.